If you wouldn't have used my whole family on the first part of Scrappy and Chaotic TV, you came to my mama's house at my daughter's birthday party, where Erica and my mama, everybody liked to watch. You came over there with all your little cameras and stuff like that, and we made it. We said this is our first episode. This for our first episode. Not only he do that, he kept everywhere I was at. He right there filming me doing all this shit because he had to use me to get it up there. That's why it's up there now, because I was there. I was present. Now, when it came to my kids, I can't be there for you, homie. I can't be there when you making plans because you ain't got no kids. You ain't got no kids. So you gonna goddamn go and do whatever you gotta do, up, jumping, and running in the morning.
Just when it seemed like Lil Scrappy was finally getting better, his health took a terrifying turn for the worse. Fans had been closely following his health journey, hopeful that he was on the road to recovery. Reports had indicated that his condition was improving, and even his social media activity seemed to suggest that he was getting stronger. For weeks, it appeared that he was pushing through his struggles. But behind the scenes, things weren't as stable as they seemed. Those close to him were starting to get worried, and now their worst fears have become a reality. Late last night, the situation took a dramatic turn. Paramedics were rushed to Scrappy's side and quickly transported him to the ICU after a sudden, severe health crisis. While details are still emerging, sources close to the family say that the emergency came on unexpectedly and was critical. His family, friends, and fans were left in shock, anxiously waiting for updates. The news was terrifying, and the situation had quickly become dire. It all happened so suddenly. Late last night, sirens blared through the streets of Atlanta as Scrappy was taken to the hospital. Witnesses described the scene as chaotic, with flashing red and blue lights filling the air while paramedics worked quickly to stabilize him. He was rushed to the hospital on a stretcher, his face pale and his body barely moving. It was clear from the moment they arrived that this wasn't just exhaustion, it was something much more serious. Reports indicate that Scrappy had collapsed unexpectedly at a private home. He had been spending the evening with close family and friends, trying to recover from his ongoing health issues. Earlier in the day, he had complained about feeling weak, but no one could have predicted that it would escalate so quickly. At some point during the night, he lost consciousness, sending his loved ones into a panic. Family members immediately called emergency services, describing the situation as life-threatening. Paramedics arrived quickly, but by the time they got there, Scrappy was unresponsive. Sources say that paramedics had to perform immediate medical interventions on the spot before rushing him to the nearest hospital. But what's even more alarming is that doctors still can't determine what exactly caused his condition to suddenly worsen.
But here's the thing, anybody can make a police report. I can go do a police report now and say, I seen bruises or seen some shit, you know what I'm saying, on money. It's a police report. But what you need to post is the paperwork from the whole investigation, because I went through everything, because I ain't got nothing to hide. My kids are well taken care of.
Medical staff have been working tirelessly to stabilize him, but as of now, there's no clear explanation for his collapse. The uncertainty surrounding his condition has made this even more terrifying for his loved ones, who are now fearing the worst. When Mama D arrived at the hospital, the emotional impact was overwhelming. Her heart-wrenching scream filled the air as she saw her son lying motionless in a hospital bed, connected to wires and barely responsive. The sight of her energetic, strong son now lying still was nearly too much for her to bear. Hospital staff tried to calm her down, but nothing could stop her from rushing to her son's side. She demanded answers from the doctors, asking why they hadn't figured out what was wrong and what they were doing to save him. The medical team reassured her that they were doing everything they could, but Mama D wasn't satisfied. She wanted real answers and she needed them fast. As if the situation weren't already tense enough, Bambi, Scrappy's estranged wife, also arrived at the hospital, and the situation took an even more dramatic turn. Bambi rushed into the hospital, clearly shaken. Her face was pale, and her eyes were red from crying. She barely had a chance to catch her breath before she came face to face with Mama D. The tension in the room was palpable.
Not co-parenting right now. This ain't got nothing to do with co-parenting. Our kids ain't here. This is
definitely co-parenting.
This is not co-parenting.
This is definitely co-parenting. We both just talked to our kids.
We did, but this is not co-parenting. This is coexisting. This is co-working.
We not even working right now.
We off the clock, but we still at work.
I'm not at work. I ain't doing shit.
I'm at work because we can't leave and go nowhere. Because if we leave and go somewhere, we fired. So we're at work.
Oh yeah, we at work. You right, nigga. You right.
I know. Shit. We is on the clock. Okay, they got all the employees standing the same.
Hey.
Mama D, fiercely protective of her son, snapped at Bambi, accusing her of not caring. She demanded to know where Bambi had been during Scrappy's struggles. Bambi, shaking with emotion, responded that, of course she cared, she never stopped caring. But Mama D wasn't convinced. The two women's argument escalated, with emotions running high. Mama D blamed Bambi for walking away when Scrappy needed her, and Bambi defended herself, saying that she had always been there for him, even if they weren't together. The argument grew louder, with family members trying to intervene, but neither woman was backing down. The tension was thick, and it was clear that both women were feeling the pain of the situation in their own ways. Just as the argument reached a boiling point, a doctor walked in with news that would leave everyone in shock. The doctor's expression was grim, and the weight of his words made the room fall silent. He said, his oxygen levels are dropping. His heart is unstable. We need to prepare for all possibilities. Mama D's face hardened, and she demanded that the doctors fix her son. But the doctor's response wasn't reassuring.
Don't nobody go on YouTube or no social media, not no man anyway. Soon as they get into a confrontation, it was a confrontation. It was a confrontation. And I know Bam told me, I know Smiles told me not to come on here, told me to go on my YouTube page, but I'm gonna put the real shit on my YouTube page tonight. But the thing in the morning, however we do that shit. But on another note, bro, like, you had to be the one to come out. I wanted to knock it out. I just want to it out. Cause you've been doing too much, what they call it, dirty macking. You know what I'm saying? Even on the TV shows, every time you get a chance, you saying something negative about it. You know what I'm saying? And I always try to keep it, like me and my brother, we make plenty of money. Like, we ain't got to do all that. I try to keep it solid with you.
He explained that they were doing everything they could, but Scrappy's body wasn't responding the way they had hoped. The next few hours were crucial. The news hit Bambi like a ton of bricks. She broke down sobbing, the weight of the situation finally sinking in. This wasn't just another health scare. Scrappy was fighting for his life, and no one knew what would happen next.
More money than me.
Okay. Now I'm okay. Boss women, that's how they do you. That's how they do you. They some kind of way.
You make more money than me.
Before anyone could process the news, the ICU alarm suddenly blared. The medical team immediately sprang into action, and the atmosphere turned frantic. Scrappy's heart was struggling, and the monitors began emitting a chilling, continuous beep, the unmistakable sound of a flatline. A nurse urgently shouted for help, and the crash cart was quickly brought into the room. Doctors and nurses worked fast, using defibrillator paddles to try to restart his heart. Bambi, in utter shock, could barely move. Her hands covered her mouth as she watched in horror. Mama D, always the strong one, collapsed to her knees, her face contorted with grief. She rocked back and forth, clutching her chest as the sound of her heartbreak filled the room. The doctors and nurses didn't stop. Another jolt of electricity was delivered. Then another. The room was tense, everyone holding their breath. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, a doctor shouted, "We have a pulse!" The relief in the room was instant, but no one dared to celebrate. Scrappy's heart was beating again, but it was weak, far too weak. The doctor warned that Scrappy was still in critical condition. "We got him back," the doctor said, "but the next few hours are crucial." Mama D clung to a nurse, trying to steady herself. The relief in her face was mixed with fear. Bambi, still shaking, wiped away her tears and asked, "What happens now?" The doctor's response was cautious. He explained that they would continue to monitor him closely, but that Scrappy's body had been through a lot. If he stabilized, there was hope. But if things took another turn for the worse, they didn't know what would happen. As the minutes tick by, everyone is wondering if this difficult time will bring the family closer together, or if old wounds will continue to divide them. At this point, every second matters. The question on everyone's mind is whether Scrappy will pull through, and can his family put aside their differences to support him in this critical time? The coming hours will determine his fate.